Okay, so one of the things that we get a lot of questions is how are all of the data linked from Coreplus into Salesforce, and when we have the reports that feed in from the CRT weekly report and this and that, how is it tracked and saved in the information in the system? Because if the business associates don't track the information correctly, then it will feed into the reports incorrectly. As we've seen before, if they don't tick billable or they don't invoice or whatever, all of those types of things. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to walk through a booking from start to finish as the clinician. I'm just going to tell you the whole client experience story. And in that, I'm going to show you how to generate an appointment. I'm going to show you all of the basics that need to happen. So in the calendar, you have all of this information, and what I'll try and do, I'll work out of Nicole Kidman's file. So on the side here, you'll see calendar settings and create and view schedule. Not all contractors have the ability to see that information, so be mindful as the practice manager or the business associate that they may not have options to change their own schedule. That's in there for protection against for protection of the BA. So that way the clinician can't go in and say, yes, I'm going to work Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then change their schedule to only show on the wheel. Another thing is if that schedule is changed all the time and not done correctly, then they could fall off the wheel. So different ways they can fall off the wheel is not having MAUs, as we've mentioned previously in one of the other virtual briefcase training seminars, that if they get down to 0 in the virtual briefcase and have 0 MAUs, they fall off the wheel. Not having new clients ticked, where we were in the settings before, they'll fall off the wheel. Or existing clients ticked, they'll fall off the wheel. Another way they'll fall off the wheel is if their schedule isn't set appropriately. So we need to go in and make sure that the schedule set reflects the period of time. So this schedule is good from December 2nd through to September 30th of 2016. If it's expired, they no longer show on the wheel.
If it exceeds a year, they could also not.
You can't. It can exceed a year. You can't.
That's the sort of thing.
Yeah.
If it exceeds a year, they might not show up on the wheel.
Yeah.
If their Coreplus log-on isn't in their profile, they won't appear in the wheel because it won't sync with their portal user.
Yeah. So that's nothing for the BAs to know. Like yeah. But yeah, there's multiple ways. Like if there's syncing issues in there. But yeah, their email address has to be synced in for their profile user as well. That's all internal stuff that we take a look at if they fall off the wheel, which is why there's an administration fee if you fall off the wheel with the service fee, because there's multiple reasons why. So it's really important that we can go to specific things because we know that things are already ticked off. We know that we haven't received an email stating that there aren't any MAUs. We know that the sync is working so that the email account is set up in there. You need to make sure that the schedule is set. All right, so that's really, really important. So we know that the schedule is set, and let's just get a test client booked into here. My internet is working really, really slowly. All right, so I'm going to book a test client. I'm going to show you everything that needs to happen so all of the reports go well. So I'm going to use test 5 as our sample example. All right. In one of the virtual briefcase trainings, I show how to go in and make an appointment. So if you search e-training, you'll understand what each one of the sections are, as well as the induction manual that I'm putting together that should be completed by next week, fingers crossed. It'll show you how to do all of this step by step. There'll be a proper manual. However, you got the client here, and what you can see with that booking is a couple of different things. One is the color of the screen, so of the booking itself. When the client relationship team drops down to say it's a new EAP or an existing EAP or a new client or existing client, that will change the color accordingly. So you can kind of count without seeing your CRT weekly report, without seeing anything else, how many new clients you have and if they're EAP or new. And if that's the case, then you can kind of figure a rough estimate of money in your head, which is the whole purpose of doing that. You can also add one other thing, which is if you've done the intro call, you can then change it to show the intro call is completed as well. So you can watch that consistency with your psychologist. But one thing that's really important, whether or not you use the shading of that and picking the type, doesn't really matter. That's just something for your own purposes. There's no statistical data stored. There is, but we don't use it. But there isn't any based on that. But you can, if you really wanted to, you could run reports. And that gets into something we don't even need, but we will. Anyway, there's 4 buttons on the appointment. All right, if the client was sent an SMS, the SMS one will show you that it was sent and if the client received it. All right. The next one is to delete an appointment. Now, if you delete this appointment or reschedule or do anything with an appointment, it leaves the diary so that the client relationship team can book a new client in. Oh no, it's not going to let me pull that open. Well, that's because of how my screen is. Yeah. It's the settings of my screen. I know, but I need to undelete it for the training purpose. So it shows up over here. I'm just wondering. I'm just going to pause this. All right, it'll show here. It's just this display settings that it's not showing it properly. But anyway, it shows it here. And actually, if you go into one of the other trainings, it'll show you that example. However, then you've got these 2 here. So this one will take you back into the client file. And this is what's really important. It must be invoiced from the calendar. Okay? Now, if you go in and open it from the client, if you go into the client file and you create it by going into the invoices and generating, it doesn't necessarily link it to the appointment. So what will happen when you do an unbilled, it will run the report based on the appointment, and then you see how it says over here, create invoice? There are no invoices related to that booking. All right, so that's where the problem comes in when you go to do reports. That's bizarre, isn't it? No, because in the invoice, you have to link it. So when you generate the invoice, you can see the deleted appointment down there that we have. When you go into the invoice to create an invoice, you need to make sure that it's linked to the calendar. And in the trainings, we don't normally teach that because if you do it right, you don't need to know about that. So once it's generated from there and it links to this appointment, then it will read back. But it's not, I mean, they're 2 separate entities unless they're linked. So when you're in the calendar, a way to know if you've linked that appointment to an invoice is very, very easy. When an invoice is generated, well, you can click on this, create an invoice for the appointment. Sure. Oh, there it is. Perfect. Okay, great. So what happens? So let's just, we don't have any service types in here, but let's just say, yeah, I don't have any service types in there. But say you add your service. I don't know if I can save it, even if I got it. No. Yeah, we don't have any saved. Oh, alright, well let me. So what will happen is you get this tick. If that tick's not there, they haven't generated it correctly. Now the key is if you go into the client file where we were before, and you go to appointments, let me just open the calendar and then you can do it. I just want to have them in 2 windows so you can see what's happening. So this is the calendar. Oh, we don't have Brad's. It's a code. So what's going to happen? Who are we in? Test 5. If you go to these appointments, see where it says create an invoice? See how this one now has an invoice linked to it? If we go to create an invoice, so what's this? The 7th of January. I don't think you can see this anymore. So it won't let me be in 2 screens.
Are you in Chrome?
Yeah. I should be in 2 screens.
It should be out there.
Alright. Well, what will happen is if you generate an invoice from here, it will tick the calendar to show that green tick if you do it from here. But not if you just go in and just click invoicing and then generate the invoice, because here's what happens. So we go in and we click create an invoice. There's no data to link it here. So unless you know to go in and click it there, that's the only way it will link it off. It doesn't automatically go in there. All right, so that's really important.
If you go through that one and you click on all of those and populate one,
It will link it, but you have to know to link it. So the easiest way, so you're not kind of pissing around with all that, is just from the appointment, go in, click create an invoice. It links it, it ticks it, it does everything it needs to happen. What you'll see here, we couldn't show earlier because it wasn't showing, but you see the deleted appointment down here. It allows you to undelete. It allows you to still view the SMS. It allows you to go to client file, create an invoice, which is really important because if it's still a billable session, you need to create an invoice. All right. So some of the things where people are like, well, what's happening with my client attendance? Few things go wrong with this. If it's billable and attended, both need to be marked. Okay? So save. Now watch what happens when you mark attended. You see that white line that comes up there? That tells us that the client has attended their appointment. All right? If it's not billable and you're not going to send the client an invoice, you need to untick billable. Because if you don't, when you go back to your stats in reporting, it will show that it's a billable session that you didn't bill for, which then lowers your average session rate. Because this will come over showing that it's a billable session, billed at $0. So that's why we run the unbilled reports to show on there that it's unbilled service that should be billed, or an unbilled service that should be unticked billable. Okay? And then, of course, if they no-show or cancel, you're not going to click attended. But if it's not billable, untick it. The key is CRT doesn't untick billable. And they shouldn't. Because It's still a billable service if it falls within the 48 hours. Technically, it would be really great if CRT, if it falls outside of the 48 hours, unticked billable before they cancel the
Which
appointment.
I've been bringing up when
Okay.
I've noticed it.
Okay. It would be great if it happens consistently.
Of course, there was a code that was written in that did that automatically. It cancelled outside of 48 hours. That would be cool. Really?
So, whatever. But if it's still within 48 hours, it's up to the clinician whether they're going to bill or not bill. So technically, it needs to stay billable.
So if it's, just from a VA perspective, if it's a new client and it's a no-show, so they then go into that account and they're not going to bill them because it's a new client.
They need to untick billable. Because the fact of the matter is they still have the option to bill. They could try and chase down that money. They've got the phone number, they've got the client name, they've got the address.
What about, we're having a brief discussion about not billing no-show new clients because they haven't sold cancellation policy.
No, we'll take that offline because we're working with the VA very differently than that. Because you can.
The new clients?
Yes. So we'll take that offline because you absolutely can. In fact, I've got some VAs who are doing that. Yeah. So it's a matter of what that looks like. Okay. Either way, billable, not billable, you need to change that. So what happens is, let's say they've no-showed and we've left it billable. And we're like, oh, we're not actually going to charge them an appointment. See how there's different colors as well? So the different colors will actually show you if the client's been rescheduled, deleted, or no-showed and canceled. So I'll show you what I think yellow is when it's been rescheduled. Is it yellow?
Yellow is cancelled, bluish, greenish. Is rescheduled. Is it? Yeah.
So let's save this appointment. Now let's go in and reschedule it. Another thing when rescheduling an appointment, I find this all the time, the VAs don't do this, and I've covered this off in one of the other Coreplus trainings. Use the reschedule button. A lot of the VAs will notice, not a lot, some will go, oh, I now have a 1:30, and they just change this 1:30 time. It messes with your stats, and it doesn't allow for an SMS. See how the SMS is gray? Like, it will gray it out. You won't send an SMS. So that's why SMS, thank you, aren't being sent. So what you want to do is click the reschedule button. Let's change the time here and click reschedule. What you see is we're continually building up different colors over here. So we know what happens with the changed appointments. So the white one's delete. This one is the no-show. This one's the reschedule. So yellow must be canceled. So let's go in there and cancel this client. Yellow. So there you go. There's your colors. So everything is color-coded for a reason. Now, if you want to see this, you see the different boxes as well. It's going to tell you what's happened with the different code. So this one is to uncancel. This one's to open the appointment. And this one's here to un-no-show. So you have to actually un-no-show it or uncancel it or undelete it if you want to untick billable. So that's the big thing as well.
So you can do that untick billable and then cancel it or no-show it again?
Yeah, you just have to rename it. So what you do is you untick billable, or you untick it, click, and then go in and click whatever one was the option.
Yeah.
So I don't remember if this was canceled or what. It must have been no-showed.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
All right.
Will that impact the stats though? Like
yes.
if you no-show it twice, it'll...
I think so.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't actually think it does.
Because if it's the same appointment no-showed twice...
Yeah, it's the same appointment. It only feeds the data back once. So it's the same appointment. So I don't believe it should.
Well, for example, if you uncancel it, if it picks up every 9 minutes, then if you haven't cancelled, like it'll do whatever you do. It's got the one booking ID.
Yeah, because in Salesforce where it links to, like it tethers in.
Yeah.
So it has the one booking ID.
Yeah.
It'll go back into the same booking.
ID, yeah.
So I don't believe that it will.
But
When they run the unbilled report, what you find is most of these changed appointments are the ones that are still ticked as billable. So you've got to go in and undo it, untick, redo it. All right. So that's an important component. So we've gone in, we've invoiced it. That green tick also links into stats as well. So if it's invoiced and linked to that appointment, that links back into the stats. And from there, that's the average session rate because it links into that booking and the amount. So the invoice needs to link in with that. Another thing that links in with the stats, from this screen, I'm just trying to remember, of course, the no-showed canceled attendance, which we've covered. I think that's all. I think that's all from this one, and whether or not you've rescheduled from here as well. So that's where some of those stats come in. So that's where most of the issues come in with the reporting.
And also just
The type doesn't, not on our stats that we have in Coreplus, in Salesforce. In Coreplus, you can run reports based on type if you want, but we don't use it, so you don't have to. All right, so that's really all of the appointment aspect in making the appointment and all of that kind of stuff. So I'm going to I'm going to keep in with the client one because what I want to do is I want to show you more things within the test client, some features that would be beneficial. So when you're in the client overview, you can generate the letter from here to send to the referral source or the client or whatever you want to do, and there's templates in there. And if you want to know how to do that, there's an e-training video on how to generate the letters. Life Resolutions National Support Center sets up the templates. You can add and edit those templates as you see fit. But if you go into the details of the client, if you go in here, there's a lot of information that's really important. Now, client relationship team will put in most of the client details. You need to go in and put in the referred by and all of this information as the clinician. Other details is information that you'll want to use if you have multiple sites. For example, we've got multiple sites in here, or you've got multiple rooms. You want to do that. No, I'm sorry. If you've got multiple sites, you want to do that. Disclosure, if you want to document that they've signed the client registration form in here. This is where you close the client out. And marketing source, if you want to track your own marketing sources. Okay. And all of that you should be getting from the client registration form. The next thing is the client relationship team should be putting in some sort of contact details if they get it. If they don't, it's not mandatory, but there's where they would put that information in there. Case notes is a really important component because this is where you should be saving your client files. And if you're in a regular system, you will see that we've got templates in there that you can select. All right, those templates are updated however you want. Just a thing, side note with this, you have case notes here and you have progress notes here. You can store the data in either one, it doesn't matter, but pick one and make it consistent with the company. If you store it in the progress notes does not auto-save, one. So if you're in the middle of typing your note, your computer crashes, you've got to go in and retype the note. All right? Also, you have to put a note name in. it won't let you save it without it. Once you save that note, you can edit it. The progress note is not APS compliant. So if you're using it, be careful because it is not APS compliant. The reason for that is once the note is completed, the APS states you're not allowed to edit it. If you edit it, you have to document that you made the edit. Progress note doesn't allow, unless you go in and you remember that you need to write the edits and you document those edits. The progress note doesn't allow for that. So not a good place to use it. The case note, though, is a great place to store your notes. Multiple reasons. One, it auto-saves. So if my computer crashes, I go back into case notes. Or, for example, let's see if this works. If I exit out for some reason, and I go back into case notes, it should save it. There we go. Okay. It is APS compliant because once you save it, you cannot modify it or delete it. All right? So if I want to make a change, I got to go in and write change to case note, and then I put my information for the case note that I want to change. Should be tasked, not test. And then you document that. Another way it's really compliant is that it saves the date and time, so it can show that you've written a note within 24 hours. It will also save your name, so you know that you're logged in as yourself, saving the note of your client as you. Really, really important. One of the reasons why this one is not superior to the progress note is because the progress note is hidden, whereas the case note CRT can see, or your administration can see, because it stores it right here on the side. Whereas the progress note is hidden-ish. Like you have to know to click into the progress note to get to it.
We don't have that sort of thing.
Yeah, you would, but at the same time, while CRT can access the note, they can't amend the note, whereas with the progress note, CRT needs to look like it.
Yeah.
Which is why it's...
But it shows it all in the client events anytime any of that's changed or anything, but yes, that's correct. So it does, that's why the progress notes aren't APS approved, whereas this is.
So the progress notes is basically like a draft.
Draft copy, or do you know, like in my practice, we had progress notes and case notes. The progress note was our final one, whereas here would be the opposite. Our case notes would be client called for this and this and this. So I would actually recommend for CRT to be able to be allowed to enter case notes in, to document phone calls or complaints or something that the client wants that they need becomes then a part of the file. So that's what it should be, although quite honestly, CRT is probably not that talented to go in and enter a permanent record into the client file. So continue using it however you're using it, but this is what you're using it for.
Explain the network part format and stable.
So that's the difference between the two. Both of them allow you to use templates. Both of them allow you to do all the same information at the top. So neither one, it doesn't really matter one way or another with that. The next one is invoicing, and we were in here a little bit, but this will just show you all of the invoices that you have. But you can do a batch payment from here as well. So if you get a bulk payment for one particular client, let's say it's a TAC payment, for the same client for multiple sessions, you can go in and do a batch payment. You can print multiple, lock multiple, unlock, you can do whatever you want with these features up here, really great tools. Appointments is a really important feature as well. So not only does it tell you the appointment summary, upcoming appointments, past appointments, deleted appointments, and canceled appointments, which is all great. But if you want to put a note in the client file for CRT to see this is where they do it. So they need to put appointment alert. Do not book until they pay 150 outstanding cancellation fee. Now what I've asked the BAs to do is not just to put don't book until they pay the cancellation fee, because if they do that, then the CRT, one has to try and find out what the cancellation fee is, and it takes a whole bunch of time. I'm actually asking them to put very specific details. Don't book until they pay 150 for the cancellation fees. Don't book until they talk to me. So they need real specific.
At the same time, that it would probably be beneficial if that was then notified to the CRT support, so we can put that in Salesforce. Otherwise, we're going to book the appointment before we even see that, because that won't come up until after it's called.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, the only thing with that is there's a lot of PDA time consuming back-to-back stuff.
Yeah, of course.
So this is the only way to have it automated. And yes, they spent the time, but at the end of the day, it's the only automation way. Okay. The thing is too, is when they save that, they have to remember that once that fee has been paid, or they no longer need that client to call, they have to untick it. That's the key. Okay. So that has to be done, or it will continue to stay in there. But that's how they need to let CRT know about whatever they need to about not booking. That's the streamlined automation process. All right, that's really important. But you can also print upcoming appointments. If there were any in here, you could send them via email. If you leave this blank, it will show all of them, or if you put the date range in, it will only show the date range. This is how the clinicians should be rebooking multiple appointments and reminding them, not printing off those half-assed appointment card things that we've got as templates on the drive, not giving out $1 million business cards. It's sending an email reminder of all of the upcoming appointments to the client. That's how it should be done, or printing it from here. We don't need the template that's in the operations manual, because this affords us the ability to print all of the upcoming appointments. Same with past appointments. You can print all of the past appointments somewhere. I'll print past. It allows you to print all of the past appointments. Here's something that's very, very, very important. This is something CRT should know as well. Any note that is stored in the appointment notes when you book the appointment comes up on this screen. So if the clinician prints this for the client, these notes, which are in the appointment screen, come up. So if this were a new booking, it would say new booking, client is coming in for, please do intro call. It would say that here, quoted, blah, blah, blah. Keep that in mind, that the only place that clinical notes, any sort of information should be kept is in the case notes, or the progress notes, whatever you opt to do. Because if it's stored here in that appointment note, it will come up here. Client sounded bitchy on the phone. That will come up if it's in the appointment note. So it's really important, whatever CRT puts in there, that's the ongoing effect to the client. Okay, you don't want to put anything like that in there. All right, so those are a couple of different really key components. And then I don't use illness or injury. We don't really use employer, insurer. You would if you have TACO and things like that. Medications, we don't really use. Treaters, we don't really use. Custom data is a really great feature. I'm not going to get into this at all. It is a good feature if you want to find out what it is, contact Coreplus, because there's so many great things you can do in there. Questionnaires, same thing. I believe there's an e-training video about how to use the questionnaires. There's K10s that they come out and all of that. Technically, they can do it right on here. Reminders, if there's any reminders that they want to create about the client. Client has my book, get it back from them. Or I told the client we would call the mom in the next session. Any reminders that you have for that client will go in here. And then it comes up on your dashboard. So when you go to dashboard, you then set yourself little reminders and to-do list here under client reminders. Okay? Really cool features that, that it has that we just don't use all the time. And then client events, of course, is a really important component. So this tells us who's done what with the client, when, and how. So we had a complaint the other day. Somebody deleted an appointment. We went back, did some research, found out that the client actually called in and canceled, so CAT canceled the appointment. Principal psychologist went in and undeleted the appointment in the contractor's diary and then deleted the appointment. In the meantime, the client, or the clinician, went in and saw the appointment and then it was gone. And they didn't know why. They said, well, I saw it was undeleted, I saw it was canceled, but then it was back in my diary. What's CRT doing? This was our proof to show that, no, sorry, we did what we were supposed to. The principal psychologist undeleted it for whatever reason and then deleted it. Okay, so this tracks all of it. All right. What we should be able to see is just the things that we've case notes accessed, case notes updated, so we can see that we've updated the case notes when we've done it, who's done it as their login. And then any other information, we've updated an appointment, created an appointment, rescheduled an appointment, canceled appointment, no-showed an appointment. So we can see all of that stuff in the client events. Really important feature. And then of course any files that are uploaded. So the client registration form, printed, scanned, to put up in here. And it's then locked in under the client file. So technically, we should be paperless. And that's how. So that is client details.